I'll wrap up this rant by talking about one more point, and that's performance. And that's personally what I find to be the second most valuable aspect of nutrition. If you look at what the best athletes in the world are doing, we ought to have some modeling of nutritional behavior after those types of individuals. Now, I understand that the best athletes also have genetic gifts and they're training super, super hard. So I'll give you that. But if you're wondering just how your body can function at its max, and especially if you're doing, you're not competing for anything, but you're doing a high intensity workout routine, you ought to take a look at what these folks are doing. Now, I'm a football guy, so I definitely have that bias. But, I heard a lot of things when I was a kid coming up about what's bad. Some foods are bad for you and some foods are good for you, and you gotta only eat certain things. But then when I got to college and I talked to the coaches and strength and conditioning coaches there, and for me myself being always an undersized athlete, they're like, okay, here's what you do. You go home and you eat ice cream, pizza, cookies, burgers. You just need calories. So and they call them hard gainers. So if you're a hard gainer, you just got to eat. You can't be, and if that's your main concern, then you got to just eat food. You got to eat a lot of high calorie, high nutrient foods also. That's the one thing I would tend to dispute. Nutrient content is so important. Vegetables are huge. And actually, switching gears to talk about another athlete who was not perhaps as physically gifted, though I think he's pretty physically gifted as well, but more to do with his longevity and consistency. You got to look at Tom Brady, and you got to look at what he's doing, and he has some very interesting takes on nutrition. And he has a guy who's been working with him, and he has the fortune of, all his meals are prepared for him. He doesn't have to think about it. But the content of his diet is worth taking a look at. And I watched an interview with him on the radio some time back, and they were talking about his diet, and they're like, so what, there's got to be, the guys were asking him, like, what is it about it? And he's like, vegetables, guys, you got to eat vegetables. That's the basis of nutrition. And especially in our culture, the Western diet, you're going to get enough calories no matter what you do. It's hard not to have enough calories. But it's harder to come by your micronutrients, and vegetables are the source of micronutrients, and also fiber and components that will support gut health. Let me get to gut health in a minute, but let me finish up by saying check out his diet. Check out also his workout program, because my band exercise routine, he does a lot of band stuff. And so that I don't know the extent of his program, but I do know that he doesn't do a lot of weight resistance training, but he does use bands a lot for his training. And he's just a model athlete because he is dominating his sport, and a sport that's very physically demanding. So check out his takes. Gut health. I didn't talk about this. I really want to wrap this up with, and this will be the last point. Gut health is so important. It's not thought about a lot. It's not talked a lot about in conventional nutrition discussion, but it is hugely important. I think we talk more about macronutrient balance, calories, and demonize certain. I already talked about demonizing sugar and demonizing fat and demonizing certain foods like milk or cookies, which unless you know you have an allergy to those foods and it's been diagnosed and it's diagnosable, it's not worth demonizing certain foods or certain nutrients. And gut health, because if your guts aren't healthy or if they are healthy, they can either cause a lot of problems that you're not aware of or neutralize otherwise bad conditions. If your guts are optimally functioning, you're going to absorb a high amount of the nutrients that you take in. You're going to sleep better. You're going to stay more hydrated, and less will be more for you if your guts are healthy. And there are certain having a balanced diet, and I talked a little bit about fiber-sugar balance. I did not talk about acid-salt balance, but that's another thing you can look into, the acid-salt balance in maintaining gut health. And drinking enough water, staying properly hydrated are all factors that contribute to gut health. And that's all I'll say for now about that, but just know that that's a huge factor, because if your guts are not functioning properly, then it doesn't matter how many nutrients you take in or how detailed your fat, carbohydrate, and protein, and how closely you're monitoring all of that, because you won't absorb the nutrients from those foods nearly as well.